There it goes. Look at that.
Hello.
There it goes.
Good evening,
Look at
everyone.
that.
Hope you have your drinks in hand.
It doesn't look like anyone's here yet.
And
We'll
potions.
see. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. I think an email went out an hour ago.
Um,
Hey, Brad.
yeah,
Did I tell you that I accidentally sent out a hey, the campaign's ending
it's
in
over. Yeah,
1 hour, like days ago.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I saw the apology.
I felt like a pretty big tool bag there.
It was a little unprofessional.
Oh, yeah. No, went out a minute ago. The We're Live Now email. Let's see. I mean, who knows? Maybe we call it an early night. Maybe everyone had something better to do on a Saturday night. Um,
Yeah, it went out a minute ago.
did you
You did tell him yesterday, though.
did you join the? Are you watching it on Twitch as well?
No.
Oh, well, someone's here. Hello.
Hi. Someone gives a hoot.
I'm James. This is Brad. We run
Hey,
Crumbling
Brad.
Keep. Hey, I know this
And
guy.
this is Conan. Oh,
We will absolutely celebrate because you are here. How do
potions in
you?
hand.
How you doing, buddy? I don't know if you're looking at the chat, Brad, but we are graced by the presence of the infamous Sanguine Haze.
Oh, it's an oldie. Goodie.
Right?
Haven't seen your name in a while.
That guy. I do. I see it all the time. I can't get away from it. Even if I try. I'm
I'm
kidding. I would
stuck.
never try.
I'm stuck in the dungeon. I'm a graphics gnome.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I bet that was a busy day. Kids went to a local fair. Like, we're talking like Ren Fair type fair?
Like a county fair.
Faire, so I'm guessing Ren Fair, but.
Oh, we have some fancy folks at our fans. Our fan
Oh, like a
friends.
bouncy castle thing. Like, still super fun, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Especially because
Sign
food,
me up.
right? When we make it big and we finally can afford offices. CK Bouncing Castle.
Funnel cakes and frankfurters.
Yeah. Oh. Well, what'd you do today, Brad?
Well, we had no rain for the last like week and a half, so we had to water the lawn and the garden like
Yeah.
fervently.
Yeah, you must have. Has it rained since you put in all those plants?
No, not at all. And it hit 90 a couple like 2 or 3 days last week, so um yeah, they're thirsty, man. But they
Yeah, I
are
bet.
perennials, so they are, a little hardier than your petunias and what have yous.
Sure, sure, sure.
Um,
Right?
did the lawn. The edging is like,
Classic. Classic.
we re-mulched too after putting the plants in. So
If a strange house does good enough, I'm going to buy you a fresh pair of white New Balance. Hi, people that just came in.
fuck off.
If you have. We're just hanging out, keeping it super casual. If anyone
Well,
has any
y'all have,
questions about like
yeah.
anything Crumbling Keep, hit it up in the chat. We're happy to talk about a strange house, which we haven't even got a chance to send out the update yet. But we actually hit another stretch goal today, like out of
We did.
nowhere. So
I think it was
there's
a generous donor,
it might be
a
uh,
patron of the keep, if you will.
I would. I would a patron of the keep. But so now there's going to be 15 different little random encounters in there. And we're going to announce the next stretch goal in line soon. But
Nice.
yeah, we'll see what
Well, because
happens
they
these
hit
last few
the
days.
social stretch goal too, right?
Right, yeah, yeah. So we
Yep.
got 5 from this money stretch goal we just hit, and 10 from the social one.
So who do I have to yell at making us do more work?
Right?
Kickstarter? Yeah.
Could have been done. Everything else was ready to print and send out. But yeah, we're happy to
Yeah.
talk about A Strange House. If anyone wants to talk marching order, we got some really cool stuff coming for marching order soon too. It's just it's big enough that it's taking some time, but yeah,
It'll
big
be
marching
worth
order
it.
stuff. It will. It definitely will. I'm pretty excited about it.
Um, I was actually thinking about having these as an add-on or stretch goal. Probably an add-on. They're little beaker whiskey glasses.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. Figure maybe we could do pint glasses for beer
And I think we
or water.
we yeah for water exactly. I think we have to be careful about what we can offer on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
We can't sell a dagger with the box set. I found that out. Not the hard way or anything, but I was like, oh, what if it came with your very own cutthroat? I'm like, oh, wait. Sometimes people actually use sharp objects to stab people. It's not just a showpiece. Got it. Right.
Right. Can't wait for you to hold my sword, James.
I thought you'd never ask.
uh no, it's right next to the mantle. It's not hung over the mantle yet. I feel like I need it to be like crossed with something, right?
Yeah, you
Maybe a
need a
shield
second
in front
sword
of it.
eventually.
Right. Or maybe an axe. Like a
All right.
long.
Ah, okay. There's something double bitted, obviously.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
All right, Brad, here's a question.
Yeah. What's the question?
What's your favorite rogue?
Um ooh.
Like just one, right? We're talking like just one rogue, not our favorite lineup,
Oh,
right? Because I don't.
right.
That'd be even harder, actually. I think.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Wizard. Like I had a lot of fun with him. Like once I was able to put some coin into him.
Yeah, I
I mean,
think
he's he's a glass. What would they say? The
glass cannon.
glass cannon.
Yeah.
At first, at least. Um, you definitely got to pair him up with some kind of support. But yeah, I had the most fun with the Wizard, I think. What about you?
Uh, so on the subject of the wizard, I think like when I was designing the wizard, I just kind of fell into the trope of like starts out a little weaker but has like the most
Hmm.
range to grow because like when did that batch of rogues, almost all of them just had like 4 abilities that you could
Right.
pick from, and the wizard had 6. Uh, and like most of the spells, like they had shorter cooldown times, but if you could like get enough coin to buy all of the wizard's abilities in marching order,
You had
then
something like every turn, right?
right, like it was like set up so that like your cooldown dice would kind of like work together with each other. The secret
Yep.
things you could figure out. Uh,
Have we ever considered like a warlock? Like a different type of wizard?
is that a leading question?
I
Should we
guess we
announce
can talk
it?
afterwards.
Should we mention it?
I don't know. Is it a thing? You don't
I
tell me
mean,
everything.
there's you know
You
this.
keep
We play
secrets.
tested it.
The warlock?
No, not the warlock.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, we haven't made a warlock yet. I was, there's like 2 people here. I was talking about the necromancer. There's going to be a
Oh,
necromancer
right. No,
coming
I
up.
totally forgot about the necromancer. I mean, he's just a creep. Is he
That's
really a
true.
wizard?
That's true. All right. My favorite rogue. Um, there is something satisfying about the knight and just
Yeah.
being able to like nothing hits you. You can just smash things. Though the barbarian's kind of fun too. Though everything hits you, but you smash things harder.
Hmm.
I'm like part of me wants to say knight, but part of me doesn't want to turn my back on barbarians because like barbarians. I'm gonna go with knight.
What was the other one? What was the other one I had for a while? Oh, the Musketeer.
Yeah, you did fun things
Um,
with the musketeer.
yeah, he had that nice ability where if you put him second, he could or third, he could move up one space, like take over for person in the front, um, and blast with the blunderbuss. And then move back when you need to. But that was a cool rogue to do.
Yeah, he was definitely one of those mid like can work in the back, can work in the front. You know. Molten Bako, which I imagine is Bako. How would you DM for a
Really?
6-year-old who loves gore? Uh, Man, it's funny because like the kids love gore. It's the funniest thing. I think so. I think the first thing, like I probably wouldn't play fifth edition with a 6-year-old. I think there's just too much to learn there. Um, I would definitely go for something lighter. Like
Mouse Reader?
I would possibly think Mouse Reater, but that's if they're into like playing mice. Uh, Cut faces off. Oh yeah, yeah, okay. That is definitely gore-tastic. God, it's so funny. Kids are the goriest. Like adults do not hold a candle to them. Um, yeah, I would. So there's a game out there also called No Thank You Evil, which is like made for ages like 4 and up or something like that. It's an RPG. Yeah, it would definitely have to be light homebrew. Like roll 20 and see what you can get above. But I think it really just comes to like your descriptions. You know what I mean? Like when you're running the game, just like key into what they love and focus on that. Like every sword stroke isn't just a dice roll. Every sword stroke is the sword plunges in and like there's blood spraying out everywhere and the head twists around 360 degrees. And like save the like really over the top ones for like the killing strokes. Uh, but yeah, it's time to get out your thesaurus and dust off a bunch of adjectives, and it can be a vocabulary building experience too. That may end up with a note sent home from school someday.
James is definitely the expert in that realm.
Uh, I actually ran a game for. I mean, they were like, they had just graduated middle school. Like I ran a game for a bunch of kids yesterday who it was like a graduation party. Uh,
Fun.
yeah, absolutely channel your inner Kill Bill, Fountains of Blood. That katana
uh,
though.
yeah, Conan. That's
Conan.
all I have to say. Mountains of Blood.
Lot of narrative of disembodiment. Consequently, that's my new metal band name. Narrative of disembodiment.
Yes.
That'd be chart topping. I'm telling you.
Uh,
Good.
well, at least the kids aren't out there actually disembodying things. So, you know,
One can hope.
good for
One
them.
can hope. So as I did my duty yesterday
Yeah.
when I was running this game for these kids, it started off like it should by me teaching them how gambling works with a deck of cards. Like the backstory
Cool,
was like
James.
they had been, yeah, right. I questioned it for a second. I'm like, nah, this will be too fun. um, they were gambling with a Telwar, which is like a little penguin, like like penguin that can think and talk. There's a word I can't think of right now that's really simple that I should know. But anyway, the penguin had been losing all night long, and like, okay, so it's the last hand, and like the high card wins it. How many gold pieces is everyone gonna put in? Because the whole like quest hook is I wanted to go like Spelljammer with it, and when the penguin didn't have enough money to meet the bet, he put up his like basically his key to a spell jamming helm. And so
Okay.
like the penguin, I actually drew a 2 for the penguin, and I was like, oh, how am I gonna play this off? I'm like, okay, the penguin obviously doesn't know how to play and thinks the lowest card is gonna win, so he can just really go all in. Uh, and they were super hooked. and it was a fun NPC because like the penguin was like, oh yeah, it's my spell jamming ship that I own, and like it wasn't. It was in an impound lot, and it's like they got close enough, and the penguin was like, okay, everyone has to be really quiet because we don't want to wake up the ship. And that's when I started to like realize like, wait, is this guy making us break in to steal this ship? They went for it anyway, though. It was a good time.
Well, last Conan game we played, I think I literally I was like, man, I don't know if following this guy down into for this meeting is the best idea. And about 15, 20 seconds later, he said, and portcullis drops both behind you.
Yeah, you literally said
Like,
something like, "Oh, I hope this isn't a trap," and that's when the trap like sprung like 20 seconds afterwards.
right. Um, uh,
Tricksy
just
wizards, I'm telling
just
you.
love games.
So yeah, let's talk about what we got coming up. So we got like 3 days left
Yeah.
in A Strange House. Uh, oh, thanks for stopping in. I appreciate that. Um, yeah, I wish people liked the
Yeah,
tips
thanks, man.
videos more. Um, like I feel like I should maybe give it a go again sometime, and maybe just not make it like an everyday thing. Cause like I love talking about game theory. I do. If I had infinite time in life, I would start a podcast, and it would be a lot of fun. And like either I or Brad talks me back off that. Like I either talk myself off that ledge or Brad does. Like every few months, I feel like I bring it up. But Tip Tuesdays, like it could be a short podcast. It could be like 15 minutes, right? That's not bad.
Right.
Like,
That's
okay,
doable,
calm down,
right?
James. Calm down. Because what I need to do is make more content. You know.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah, let's do something with what we already have.
you're gonna actually so
I mean, Molten Bake, like, there's tons of stuff that hasn't even been seen in years.
there is something new coming for the email list next week, which I'm really excited about. It's going to be announced on the email list in like a few days or so.
And I definitely know what it is you're talking about.
I feel like you don't. I feel like that's a lie. So when we did that survey a little while back to see like what folks were into as far as
Hmm.
like the content on the email list, uh, two things were near the top of the list. Like two things like really got a lot of attention, and that was the uh, the dark domain encounters I was doing a bit ago. It's like one of the
Right.
first things, pardon, I started doing when I really got this email list rolling, and like old school essential stuff. So the only reasonable thing was to start making old school essentials, dark domain stuff. So I'm envisioning it kind of like a series of zines. So if for anyone that doesn't know, uh, Dark Domains is it's basically like Ravenloft, but with the serial numbers filed off of it, right? And also that means I can do it however I want. But I just kind of wanted to write some like creepy horror stuff, like Victorian or otherwise. So Dark Domains kind of like gets that spirit. And I was thinking each zine could be like a different domain with a new Dark Lord, but also like an adventure set in it as well. Because there's like, I feel like that's one of the things really missing lately. Like I thought the 5e Ravenloft source book was good, um, but it's not like there was a lot like actually set in it. You know, like it really relied
Mm.
on a lot of work from the DM to make it work. And like even the second edition, well, the second edition core Ravenloft stuff was good too. But they like you didn't have adventures in it, but they did put out like a crap ton of Ravenloft adventures in the aside from that, like the little paperback ones, and some were good, some were bad. But yeah, I wanted to get in on that. So, well, now that there's 7 people here, Dark Domains, Old School Essentials, Dark Domains, like Old School Essentials Ravenloft is coming to the email list next week, and it'll be an official announcement in a few days.
Y'all, James has been wanting to like do Ravenloft since the 90s. Let's just leave it there. And he just anytime he ever tried to run horror, it just turned into a shit show, for lack of another word.
Yeah, I mean we were kids in the '90s. Let's put that out there to frame that.
Um, yeah, it just did not work out in the way that he wanted. And I've understood that you've had like better results with that, um, in your most like recent years.
Well, I got like, oh Jesus, 20 years of experience since then, more.
Right. Um, well, that's good. So like you have a lot of ideas that are ready to come out was my point.
Yeah. And I think this adventure that I started writing is going well. Having a problem following on Twitch. Any suggestions? I'll be honest, I actually kind of rarely use Twitch. Every so often we get excited about it, but then we kind of forget about it for a while. Like, are you like clicking follow and something that, like isn't happening, or so I was following on Twitch the other day.
Mhm. You have to be signed in.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's always the thing to look at. It unfollows. Yeah, I'm sorry. I wish I had better advice for that, but honestly, I just don't know. That
No
is,
clue.
yeah, past my uh, realm of expertise. Ah, thank you. You are like our tech support, unofficial tech support. uh, so yeah, Strange House is coming to a close. I think this is gonna. I mean, we'll see what happens in the next few days. But so far, like with the stretch goals we hit, most of the stuff we have done. I think it's going to be a
Yeah,
really quick turnaround project, and I'm excited about that. Uh,
quick for us. Like,
mm-hmm.
and we're usually pretty good on that.
Yeah, like anyone who's backed our quick and dirties for marching order knows they've been like emphasis on the quick, uh, well, and also on the dirty. But yeah, you get it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but this is going to be our first hardcover book.
I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
So we're going with Print Ninja, and they offer so many different options that we can't find at other printers. Our only issue before was that like a minimum order count. So we set it to make sure that we hit that minimum print uh, number so that we could print it no matter what. But there was just so many options: cloth, full leather, embossing, foil
Mm-hmm.
print, like just tons of options. So it's gonna look really pretty, and I'm really excited about that.
I'm
Like we're
pretty.
doing a hardcover book, dude.
Yeah, right. And
Uh,
yeah,
Feels like a milestone.
I think it's going to look really good. And I do think like I think there's just I don't know. I'm sure if I thought about it long enough, I could explain it. But I think there's just something about as opposed to like the deep dark wood stuff. That feels like it should be a soft cover like zine type thing, you know.
Sure. Yep.
Uh, but Strange House feels like it should be a hardcover.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, there's just I think it's like I think it's maybe less pulpish than maybe the deep dark stuff. It feels like it has the weight to exist in a hardcover and be on the shelf next to like all the other cool OSE
Right.
hardcovers I have.
Oh,
I
I
almost
can't
said
wait.
Stygian Library, but I'm like, oh, I can't say that. Stygian Library is fucking good. Not to say that Strange House isn't, but like that just feels too egotistical for me to say.
Hayes, you should send a picture of your shelf sometime.
I
Everybody loves a good game shelf shot.
I should. Yeah, I can't really get it from here, unfortunately.
I said Hayes, not James.
Oh, never mind. My bad. I thought you said hey, and you were.
Wait, wait till marching order sewers is out. Oh man, it's gonna be gorgeous.
So, anyone want to hear about the sewers? And like everyone's, for anyone who's like, "What the fuck did you just say?" The sewers. So the next big
Right.
expansion for Marching Order we're gonna do is Neck Deep, the sewers of Rot Bottom. Um,
It'll be a starter set. Um,
yeah, so that's the big thing. It's gonna be a starter set. Like, well, there's a lot of big things, but
so the main, I guess, like issue is that the original set only had four adventures and that's it. There was no well, there's limited replayability. Like you can play it as much as you want, but um, the sewers will be randomly generated dungeon with lots of options of things to go wrong or encounter, loot. Um, and for those that don't know Marching Order, it's a game that we produced. Um, it's solo or co-op up to four people. Uh, so yeah, this is going to allow you to go on endless dungeons, dungeon crawls. It'll also come with some adventures. Um, James, you want to take it from there? Like,
no, I wasn't paying attention, so you should probably finish. No, I'm kidding.
should we go into like the components ideas, or should we
So
release that?
I kind of want to. I mean, for the folks that are hanging out here listening to us, like, yeah, you can get a sneak peek of what's coming. So we plan on our next Kickstarter being for the sewers. We plan on that, and I don't see anything that's gonna upset that. It's just like we've been working on it for months now. Like, and I don't mean like the sewers itself, even if that is true. I mean like the Kickstarter for it.
Right.
Um,
Just the Kickstarter for it. The sewers has been going on for 2 years.
yeah, it's been going on almost since Marching Order came out.
Right.
Like it was actually the second thing that was written. Like I was writing the sewers before we finished publishing the first book, which is why this it had a sewers advertisement in it. We thought it was gonna come out soon after that, but Onyx Tower did instead, and the thing like the sewers kept changing. Number one, like the sewers now looks very different than what I originally had made, and
Yeah,
in a good way, in a really good way.
absolutely.
Yeah, we got some really great feedback play testing the initial version that were like, cool, well let's blow this up. And it like a lot of when I think about like random dungeon generation games, I kind of think of like Four Against the Darkness as a kind of like gold standard, right? And I think one of the things that we managed to do that, and this is not talking to me, Brad, is that an Erlen Mayer flask?
Erlenmeyer flask. Yep. It's a little mini one. It's little known fact. I'm also a glass blower.
Oh, did
Um,
you blow that too?
yeah, bro.
Oh God,
Yeah.
why didn't I think about that?
Yeah. It's it's a little whiskey glass.
Howdy, TG Die. How's it going?
Welcome. Just discussing whiskey glasses. Blah, blah, blah.
And whiskey
Uh,
glasses and the sewers.
yeah.
Which also welcome any new folks to the chat. If anyone has questions about like anything Crumbling Keep, be that a strange house, which is ending in just a few days, I should really put a link up in the chat, huh? Um, but a
I
strange
should have
house,
thought ahead of
our
time.
old school essentials hardcover adventure that's on Kickstarter. That will be. We're looking at a pretty quick turnaround. I'm excited about that. But if you have questions, any questions about that, hit us up. But also, if you want to talk about marching order, any of the stuff on the email list, deep dark woods encounters, etc. Yeah, just hit up some questions in the chat. And just kind of curious, like I never really know how far our reach goes. If
Hmm.
y'all get a sec, just like type where you're at in the chat in this world,
That'd be fun to know. Yeah.
right? I'm in Chicago, Illinois.
I am in
Illinois.
Lancaster, Pennsylvania,
Brad
Amish
and I
country.
grew up in Pennsylvania together, but then my ass moved around a bit. Um, So the sewers, right? The sewers. So I think one of the cool things. Hey, another Pennsylvania.
Saskatchewan. Woo.
One of the cool things about the sewers is that while it is a random dungeon generator, it it has an escalation to it. It's actually a mechanic that we call an
That was the
escalation.
major addition that we added to it that it changed everything.
Yeah, it really did. So the longer you're in there, the like
Nice.
the bigger chance things are going to go wrong. Like the bigger chance you're going to run into something truly strong and terrible, or like trigger the wrong trap or something like that. So it
Yep.
adds this like great push your luck element to it that I'm really excited about. But wait,
Um,
there's more.
yeah. So everybody for marching order has been asking about like uh different condition tracking and what have you. Uh, so we're gonna change the cards from being a flip over like to indicate uh who's taking a turn, and each monster card is going to have sorry their abilities and bullshit on the back of the card, which is gonna alleviate the need to dig through the book every for each monster as you're playing combat. So
Yeah, frankly,
that'll
we
be
were
like
tired of that too. Yeah.
right. Um, so they'll have a spot on the mat the board that we're creating. Um, and ahead of them is going to be your marching order, your battle line, like you would normally line up your cards, except we're doing standees. Um, and that's going to free up a lot of space width wise. Um, and then what else, James?
Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah.
there'll be an escalation tracker on the bottom of the board, so you can how where you are in the track escalation.
So Darian was asking actually if we could explain the escalation, and this seems like a good
Oh yeah,
segue.
sure.
Um, so yeah, so when you
Yes,
when
exactly.
when you roll an encounter, or so okay, so to explain the escalation, I'm probably gonna actually have to explain a lot more, so I apologize in advance. So the way it works is first you roll for your room shape, right? You roll some dice and you get your room shape, and you get to like draw that on your graph paper, which we
Which is a D66.
yeah D66, and so we are not completely settled on any of these components yet. We're pretty sure this is what it's going to
Right.
look like. So I just want to say that. So while I'm explaining this, if we launched a campaign and I'm like, it's actually just a box full of human fecal matter, you're not like, yo, they didn't say that before. Um, but you guys probably expected that anyway. Um,
Right.
so anyway, you roll for your room shape, you draw that on your map, and then you roll to see what's in the room. So you roll a dice to basically see what kind of thing is in the room. So it might be a monster encounter room, it might be a trap room, it might be a loot room. There's also a big D66 special table. So like basically so it feels like it has a little bit of flavor and it's not just endless randomization of monsters and stuff.
Yep.
You know, and that's where you can find some of the like bosses and things in the game as well. Pardon me. Um, so once you roll to see what's in the room, then you roll like if you roll, say you roll a trap room, then you roll the dice to see what kind of trap it is. So here's the thing: you roll a d6, but you add your current escalation count. So, like Brad was saying, on the bottom of the game board, there's going to be like a track to keep track of what your escalation is. It's going to start on 0. So your first roll is just going to be a d6, and then you what you match it up with the table, that's what happens. But after you do that, you're going to move that escalation counter up 1, so it goes to 1 instead of 0. So basically that means your next roll on any of these tables is going to be a d6 plus 1, and then a d6 plus 2, d6 plus 3. So
Right.
the stronger things are higher up in the table, and like
The deadlier traps are higher up in the table.
Yeah.
The better loot is higher up in the table.
Yeah, that's the other part too. Like
The
cooler
more
stuff can be
difficult,
cut.
the more difficult that things are, the better the. I'm sorry. The harder the things are, the better rewards you'll get. You know.
Yeah. Um, you know what, Darian? We actually talked about that, providing tiled pieces for the room shapes.
Also,
Um,
what's up? It's hardcore.
I don't know that we. I forget where we landed on that. I think we just kind of like. I think maybe we talked about like maybe having that available in the future or something. I know we decided against having it in the core set, mostly because it was getting too big as
I
is.
think tiled pieces would be good if there were actual tokens you're moving around, but there aren't any tokens to move throughout the. So what we're going to do is include um, graph sheets or graph tablets with the sewers set.
Yeah, I guess
You'll
that's kind of what we settled on. Now that you mention it, that sounds
right.
familiar. Like you're not actually moving through them, um, though. Like somewhere in my like projects that I'm not even like seriously working on, but kind of exist. There's a uh, marching order adjacent thing that has like random card tile draws that actually is the board that you move around on. But that's like honestly hardly
Well,
even worth talking about. It's so
you
far
know what
down the
we'll
pike.
have tiled maps. Gangs of Rock Bottom. Another thing we could talk about briefly because it's we're still way in the development phase of that.
Yeah, that's true. Like the base of it is written and playable, but we need to get a lot more play testing done. So Gangs of Rock Bottom, I gotta take this back to when we were fulfilling our first Kickstarter for Marching Order. So one of
Days
the things,
of days of shuffling and uh cards, creating card decks.
yeah. So like anyone who got that first Kickstarter for Marching Order, uh, totally reasonable. Thank you for hanging out, and if you have any other questions, you can always just drop them in the email.
Yeah,
Take
thanks.
care, Darian. So when anyone who got that first Kickstarter marching order, just know that we sorted every single one of those cards by hand. Like we got them all in separate stacks because it was our first
Yeah,
project and we didn't
we
know
had a
any better.
production line.
It took like literally like I think we spent like 2 8-hour shifts just sorting cards.
Hmm.
You know, just like walking around the table, and so like we're we're like well no Adam, yours smells like me because of a different reason that I'll DM you about sometime. There's photos. Um, so we're delirious by this point. Uh, am I making this up? Did I actually like talk about it after I went to sleep or after we went to
Yeah,
bed?
you went to I don't know if you were asleep, like uh if you had gone to sleep yet, but you did go to your room like at the end of the night. And yeah, like 2 hours later, you come barging back in and you're like, Brett, 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 Brett. I'm like, yes. You're
No,
like, "Ah, I got this idea. Uh, so we're kind of trying to like spread marching order over different uh game like platforms of games, right? Like marching order is kind of a choose your own adventure dungeon crawl. Um, that's how I've been describing it to people. You know, they still don't understand what I'm saying, but at least it sounds a little better.
yeah, that's a good 50 cent explanation though.
Um, so he's like all into the idea of skirmish games. Uh, and yeah,
Yeah,
it
like
was,
Forbidden
I don't know, like two
Psalm.
o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what do you got to do now? Like, dude, we just got done with a full day's worth of just sorting cards. What the fuck do you want me to do now? Like, so go ahead.
Yeah, so that's
Pitch it to him.
basically how it was born. Uh, but I was just so excited about the idea for this project. So it's basically a miniatures, like a system or not system agnostic. I'm sorry, miniatures agnostic skirmish game set in Rock Bottom, like the major like city in marching order. Um, Sorry, I forgot how words work there for a second. So the idea, like, you know, okay. So the other inspiration for this game is the first scene in Gangs of New York. Like when the kid is remembering the old days when he was little and his dad was leading people to battle. But there's like this kind of like fantasy aspect to it as well that I don't know that I understood when I was first seeing that scene. That it's like, oh, this is the recollection of this child. Everything's like bigger than life. That guy who's like wearing Baraka claws and sharpening them, like you don't see that later in the movie anywhere. Like that's just like, this kid's like
Right.
imagination and recollection. Uh,
The
which,
shillelaghs.
yeah, totally. God, I want to watch that
Yeah.
movie again. It's so good.
I just watched the first scene.
Yeah, right. Uh, but anyway, I just like the idea of these different gangs in Rock Bottom fighting for territory and fighting for prestige and influence. And so, I wanted it to like feel like marching order. So there's cooldown dice, and there's like, you pay for your gang, and you can pay for like upgrades, and send them to the life coach and things like that. Um, but I also want it to be like really narrative driven. So it's all very scenario driven. And I also like the final important thing for me was to have like a robust campaign mode to it. So it's not
Right.
just a like, oh, I got my list, you got your list, let's have them fight. Pew pew pew
Right.
pew. Like you're basically trying like you win the campaign by getting a certain amount of prestige points, and you can gain prestige points by like controlling territory. You can like win people over to your side, and that gives you prestige points. Like important people around town, and they all want like, um, they're all looking for
They'll have
different things.
prerequisites or
Yeah,
like, yeah.
like you have to have
So
like
you,
a crate of sausages and a crate of cigars before the governor will come, or the head man of
right.
Rock Bottom will support your claim and whatnot.
Did you mention, so it's like, it'll be take this first iteration at least will be the docks of Rock Bottom,
I
and
haven't.
those docks are then broken up into like different zones. Um,
Yeah.
and we're not talking about rogues here. We're talking about ruffians.
Right. Right.
Like these people aren't like good enough to go down into dungeons and fight monsters.
They
Like
might be smarter than that to not go down in dungeons and fight
that's
monsters.
true. Yeah, maybe they're not as desperate, to be honest.
This is more respectable almost.
um, yeah, so you're vying for like control over the docks essentially, and you can do that by a number of different ways, like straight up like vying for control over the zone, or there's scenarios like, can you choose to take, yeah, like you can choose to attempt to take over a zone,
Hmm.
or you can choose to like uh do a scenario in there. And those scenarios are generally like randomized.
Yeah, you get the choice of like fighting for control or like you can do a scenario, and the scenarios are generally like you get better treasure and stuff
Hmm.
for the scenarios. Um, and like getting coin and getting like weapons and stuff like that's important for your rise to fame. But then if you're controlling a territory, like that gives you like a lot of them give like static buffs. Like if you
Yeah.
control the tavern, you get a bonus to morale to everyone because free booze, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, to interrupt the gangs of Rock Bottom for a sec, I just want to let everyone know that I did put a link in the chat. It should be pinned at the top to A Strange House, our old school essentials hardcover adventure that's on Kickstarter now and ending in a few days. So feel free to take a look at that. And we just hit a new stretch goal today. We're going to be sending out Uh,
Well, our first stretch goal, but yeah.
no, the second one, our second stretch goal. We've hit two.
No.
Social share and
Oh, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Don't
Sorry,
sell
I
yourself short there,
apologize.
buddy. Um, but yeah, click on that link, check it out. It's a very whimsical, strange adventure. It's a cottage crawl. It's like equal parts like uh, whimsical and creepy,
Right.
which is kind of my jam, you know.
Sometimes you giggle.
Sometimes
Sometimes
you
you go,
cry and
oh.
scream.
Yeah, sometimes you're like, yeah.
This is repulsive. I have experienced all human emotions in the span of 2 dungeon rooms. Um, so Gangs of Rock Bottom, to go back to that, it's currently in the playtesting phase. But we had to break playtesting that to like playtest some other projects that are coming up sooner. Like we had to stop to
Well,
play the sewers for a bit.
we
Um,
need to make money in order to keep going.
yeah,
Get everything
basically, we had to
stuff
like do
out.
business shit. It's kind of
Right.
stupid.
Why can't we just design games all day?
But that's our next big playtest is we're gonna go through a campaign of Gangs of Rock Bottom and see what
The
we need to
other cool thing
add.
about that, though, is everyone, we are partnered for Gangs of Rock Bottom. We are partnering with Mustafa, and he
Yeah,
assures us that Gangs of Rock Bottom is going to be like head to toe, cover to cover, filled with his art. So
yeah, he just wants to jam it full of Mustafa art, and that's I
I know
the
I'm beaming. Like I can't be more happy about that.
so for anyone that's not familiar with how we work, generally like I do the writing, and then Brad does like for finished products. Brad does the layout. Like if you're looking at stuff in emails and you're like, this doesn't look as good as their books, that's because I probably did the layout for it. I'm getting
Yes.
better. Don't get me wrong, but like I don't reach your stature, Brad.
Oh, it's all
That's
right.
not mince
That's
words.
we
It
all
is
have our own.
totally. Um, but yeah, I say that because like, you know, Gangs of Rock Bottom, it's like that. Like I'm doing the writing for it, and the base of it's written, and I know there's gonna come a point where like the writing's done, and I just have to like kind of step aside and let Brad and Mustafa like deal with the layout and the art and everything, and that's gonna be so weird, you know?
Yeah. I'm gonna be like, don't look into our cauldron here. Like,
Yeah, like, and that's
no peeking.
it's. I feel like it's yeah, like it's gonna be different, man, because like we're two people, so normally like even though I said like I do the writing, Brad does the layout and stuff, like we're still involved in that process. Like Brad's sending the samples to me to get an opinion. I'm sending writing to him and mechanics to get opinions. And
Right. Like we're heavily involved in each other's uh, work, but
totally, like
um,
there'd be some really bad
well,
design decisions if Brad hasn't talked me out of them.
oh, get it out of the corner, dude. Just like drop it down a little bit. So a part of the reason that that has been our process at Crumbling Keep has been because um, James has had a professional dungeon master job for a while now, and he's been able to make enough money off of that to like pretty much work for Crumbling Keep full time.
Yeah, between the
Whereas
DMing and the
I
crumbling.
was hustling, blowing glass for the last few years, and it wasn't until recently, this past year, that I was able to devote um, my full time to Crumbling Keep. So we're trying to change the process there and the dynamics because it's basically been James like I wrote something and in the meantime like I did some type of layout like here you go. Uh but it's like in Photoshop, which for laying out a printed product is like not what you want to use. So it was a
Just
lot of work to like just
scribbling with crayons,
yeah,
basically.
yeah, basically, yeah, yeah.
I made this.
Um, you're like here. Uh, so that's the way it's uh well mostly eating ass. Like that's what I do at the night. during the day.
Blown glass during the
Uh,
day.
yes, no. That's all I'm here to do. Um, Fighting, farting, and fucking. Um,
There go our subscribers. All right.
uh, where was I? Oh, so we've been like trying to have a better dynamic there that we're like he's writing it and he just lets me do the layout. Um,
Yeah,
and
you've been
then we do
making
it for
like
free.
templates
Well, no,
lately.
I'm whoring. I'm good at whoring. Um, yeah, so like and not only that, but a lot of the game design and development was you because, you know, well, one, you have a better grasp because you played more games. You
Well,
are a
I
dungeon
just yeah,
master. Um,
but I had more
but
time too. Like you said,
yeah.
which is
It was I was just busy sweeping up and like just putting a coat of paint over what James did before. Um, Now it's like we're more collaborative about how that stuff gets done. So
which I think like
um,
that's a good segue into one of our other like more recent projects we're launching.
what's that? Strange House
Uh,
or
well, no, but while you're talking about Strange House, just remember the link to the Kickstarter over in a few days is pinned in the chat. We just hit a new stretch goal earlier today, and we're gonna try and race toward the next one. Uh, but no, like when you mentioned the kind of collaborative nature of it, um, we have like so. Okay, sorry. Like sometimes I gotta be like, where does this story actually start?
yeah.
So anymore, I have this rule for myself that like if I have a new idea for something, I can't start on it until like it's a few weeks later. If I'm still thinking about it, then I can entertain the idea.
Right.
Uh, just because like I'm trying not to juggle too many projects and I'm trying to see things to fruition and to finish. Though the good news is because of the email list, like I need to have somewhat of a healthy amount of different things happening at any given time. So it kind of gives me an excuse for that. But anyway,
Right.
this was one of those projects that kind of like hit that for me where I'm like, okay, you can't start on this. But it lingered and it stayed and it just weeks later I talked to Brad about it and I was like, hey, I have a gap in the email list coming up where a new project could go and pitched it to him and he was down. Uh,
Well, mostly because you're doing the work anyway. So why not make that work lead to something that we can
right,
eventually sell.
exactly. And
Um,
it's like we got to milk cash from all of you. That's wait,
Sorry.
sorry.
I'll like right in the mouth.
Or we just need to stay afloat for one more month. Ugh. Um,
That'd be nice.
right?
No day job, please.
I'm not really employable at this point, honestly. I don't really have any other skills. But anyway, now that the suspense has really been blown up there, I'm talking about Acid Age. If anyone's a
uh,
member of our email list, you've probably seen some Acid Age blog posts already. If anyone's not a member of
I'm
our
actually
email
really
list,
excited about it.
yeah, me too, me too. We actually did our first playtest of that the other day. But if everyone isn't part of our email list and wants to be, just type in the chat and I will get that info. But I'm not going to look it up unless someone tells me to. Um,
Can I just interject?
yeah, please.
Even my 75-year-old non-RPG playing father-in-law, the two words, dinosaur cavalry, and he was sold. He's like, that's so cool.
It's okay. So to like, and aside from Acid Age for a moment, and we'll come right back to that. Like, I think a lot of us are lucky to have lived when we have because of the internet and its ability to let us find out about like all these super awesome games that we get to play. Cause
Not only that, but
like,
just the ability to self-publish.
yeah, that too,
You
that
know?
too. But I was just like, I'm thinking about your father-in-law, and I'm just thinking like, what would his life have been like if he was like introduced to like miniatures games? Like, be they historical or otherwise. Like if he's
Right. Well, I
just a
mean, he is of the
warhammer.
age to like play Axis and Allies or something like that, you
Right,
know. But
exactly.
um, I think his interest lied in other stuff. But he's a total nerd. Like he would totally be into it. But especially now that he's retired, I wonder if like yeah, we
Time
should
to
give him
break
a
out the
call.
old AA game. So, Acid Age is an RPG that we are creating from scratch. And the idea is it's Stone Age. It's like a acid fantasy Stone Age, dark acid fantasy Stone Age. Okay, that's enough descriptors.
Like most of the fantasy aspect is just from the fact that humans and dinosaurs exist at the same time. Uh, they don't really coexist unless you're
Well, there's got to
able
be.
to tame unless you're able to tame them.
I mean, there's also like magic and the dead walk the earth and like all kinds of other weird shit is going to be going on. Tainted lands. Yeah.
We're still like deep in the development and design of it.
Yeah, it's true.
Uh, I have a tech tree started. It's like lots of branches.
Yeah, so
Um,
tech tree
Go ahead.
because you're going to be like not just improving your character, but you're also you have a colony. Like the what we know the backstory to this game is you just led your tribe from a place before that is now gone. It was consumed by the darkness or something like that. And you finally got to this new land, so you don't know anything about it, where anything is there, but your job is to keep the tribe alive. So like yes, you're controlling your character, but you have the tech tree because that's going to help your tribe and you as well. Um, but you're
Your
also going
individual character, but also your tribe.
to. Mm-hmm.
Like survivability of your tribe is key, right?
Right. Because you're also going to be able to like when you go out into the world, you can go alone or you can bring a few warriors with you and control them in combat as well. Like the combat is going to be very skirmish game-ish, so it's going to be really it's going to be quick and brutal but also with like a lot of I think there's going to be a lot of cool variety to it too. I'm like we started testing some of the base systems the other day and we had to tweak some things uh, but I'm definitely excited to see when like dinosaur cavalry happens and like people start trying to like control uh, t-rexes and woolly mammoths and stuff or woolly
Right.
walkers because we're filing like
Willy Wonka.
yeah I'm basically renaming everything so that I can make it up however I want and someone who's like
We
actually
don't, we
T-Rexes
don't have
had
to.
feathers. I'm like, yes, that's why this isn't a T-Rex because that's dumb.
Mine's a giant lizard.
Mine's a giant lizard and it has switchblade
And lasers for eyes.
and everyone really thinks it's cool and everyone likes me.
um, I'm really like fascinated by the uh the aspect of improving your camp, your tribe. Um, fortifying improving your resources. Like there'll be different resources that you'll need as prerequisites to build stuff, to improve stuff. Um, I'm just excited about it. James and I love Civilization. We
The
always have.
Sid Meier's game.
Yeah. Um,
I mean, we
and it's
also
all,
love human civilization. Don't get us wrong.
yeah, I could do without it.
Aspects of it.
I'll hang out with Neanderthals. Um, so like we wanted to like kind of like bring a little bit of that into uh this RPG, like and not just being about your one hero, like who doesn't, you know, as a player, you don't need to give a fuck about your home if you're just worried about going out and like combat and what have you. Um, I don't know. there's an aspect that I thought of the other night, James, that I want to talk to you about off camera, but
Ooh, we have
it's
secrets
like
over here.
that's why this is a game that we're both developing. I mean, he's done like most of the work, but with the mechanics so far. So,
I mean,
and
I'm excited to
it's
see.
your fever dream too.
I mean,
It
it
has to
usually
be.
is. Uh, but I'm excited to see what you do with the tech tree. Like the tech tree, Brad is completely taking the lead on, and like I'll advise and give it like thoughts, but like it's gonna be his
Yeah.
baby. So yeah, because like basically it's all going to happen because there's going to be like a downtime phase. Like when you're out exploring and then you get back to camp, there's a downtime phase where like you get to heal. Maybe some of your wounded warriors end up coming back into the camp, but you get to assign the tribe projects as well, like building fences or like
Yeah.
this is the least developed part of it yet, but one that we're most excited about because they're going to be continually improving your tribe's camp and upgrading your tech level available and things like that. Which, like, is it realistic? No. Is it
No.
fun? Yeah. Like,
It's
that's
gonna be. Yeah.
like, I would go fun over realistic 9 times out of 10, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I love that I love the idea that the venture is not over just because you slew the monster and you went home with a 10,000 gold pieces. Like, what are you going to do with those 10,000 gold pieces? Like, I don't know. There has always been an aspect to, like, say, Dungeons and Dragons that we never got into, like the actual building of your character's life as opposed to just these adventures that they go on, you know?
Someday
Um,
we'll play Birthright and rectify that.
right,
Someday.
right, exactly. Uh, I'm a prince.
I'm a pretty prince.
Kiss my ring. Um, no, and the whole idea that it's just tribal though, like we're talking about tribes, uh, and they'll get bigger, but like I don't know, can you build an empire? I
I
don't know.
mean, maybe. I mean, you mentioned potentially being able to extend your realm of control to multiple hexes. Uh, I
Yes.
I think we'll stop before it gets to empire level. That seems uh, past the.
Well, I was thinking like not empire, but like I think I actually used the example of like Germanic tribes, like basically
Mm,
just clearing out areas in circumference or a radius around their main town, and like anything you could tell how powerful a tribe was based on how far it's clear between the last village and theirs. um I don't know, I just thought that would be because then you can gain resources from multiple hexes, not just the one that you're occupying.
yeah, we got a lot to do there, but it's super fun.
Yeah.
So, folks, for anyone who's just joining us, if you have any questions about anything Crumbling Keep at all, or not Crumbling Keep, we're open. Ask us anything, I guess. Feel free to type it
Yeah.
out in the chat, and we'll be happy to talk
I'm
about
open
it.
to some personal questions.
Uh, just make it up. That's what I do. I lie to these people all the time. Um,
I hate dirty martinis.
uh, but yeah, we're just chatting about different games and different projects we're working on. A Strange House is on Kickstarter right now. It's our old school adventures. I'm sorry, old school essentials adventure. Our first hardback book we're going to be putting out. We just hit a stretch goal today. Ooh, and we've just had some more backers since then. Actually, since we started
Oh yeah,
this.
let me check. Oh, I
Uh,
love seeing that roll.
yeah, right. You're all fantastic. Let me tell you. Um,
Let me see
but
that fucking roll. Yeah.
yeah, we got what? 3 days left? 71
Yeah.
hours to go. It is no longer counting in days for us. It is
Oh.
counting in hours. So we're pretty excited about this book. It's one that I've been working on for a while now, and Brad has put his delightful hand to it and has really sorted it out. It's looking great, and I hardcover,
I
foil
have to go
stamped.
see it in print.
I can't wait to see this thing. Like I've been excited to hold our books in my hands in the past. I can't wait to hold this one. I think
Right.
especially because it's going to be have a texture to it. You know.
Uh-huh. Oh,
Do
it's
you
gonna
want
look so good on the shelf.
Do you want to talk about the book specs for a sec, Brad?
Sure. Um,
If you have that lined up, if I just put you on the spot and you're like, I don't know, I have that written down in my other pants, just tell me to go fuck myself.
okay, so we're going with Print Ninja. They've allowed us the most options, so we're gonna go with it's gonna be digest size. It's about 42 pages. Um, yeah, with the it will be with the stretch goals that we just hit. So,
Yeah, like as of right
um,
now.
right. Um, it's cloth hardcover. It'll have foil stamping, so it'll be a very simple cover. Um, it'll feel really pretty in the hand, um, and on the shelf. Uh, what else? 80-pound text pages.
Are we? I honestly don't remember. Are we doing bookmarks?
I don't think we chose one for this one. No.
Okay, okay, yeah. I don't know if that was as
It's so
important for this.
short, like I don't really think it needs it.
Like you're not
Uh,
flipping around as much as you would say in the sewers.
right. The sewers will need it. It's going to be 300 plus pages, I think.
Absolutely.
That's just the sewers book because we are including a revised version of our rules in sewers. But we don't need to go over that. We're talking about Strange House here.
Not the sewers.
Um,
I know we love the sewers, which is a weird thing to say out loud.
yeah. Um, yeah, I think that's all there is to say about the book. Um,
I love cloth covered books.
Same.
Like, and I think a cloth covered book with like a good, like really solid but simplistic design,
Hmm.
like it gives me the sweats, you know? Like it
Right.
just there's something so elegant feeling about it. And you know what okay, I know I said earlier like there's something about A Strange House that calls for hardcover. And I think maybe it just hit me when I was saying that. Like the feel of it. I think there's something also to feel about like a cloth cover book like that is like somewhat nostalgic. Like you're in a library
It's
and you're looking at old
it's gonna,
tomes.
I think, feel like a like almost like a children's book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
And like I don't know if I'd run the adventure for a child, but I think it captures that like whimsy and innocence, you know?
right, 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 right.
And so the whole thing is based on the art of Evelyn Moreau.
I was just about to hit that. Yeah.
Yeah, like her art, I like. I
It's
pretty much like instant buy anything that I see that uh, she's a part of. Um,
Underhill by Water, isn't that what was
yeah,
it?
yeah, that's where I first came across her. She did the cover for that. Where the Wheat Grows Tall, also an excellent adventure, but just like aesthetically is just like ugh, so good.
Yeah. So
Um,
we just tried our best to complement her own work.
yeah, uh,
And you actually wrote the adventure based on her artwork.
right,
Uh,
right.
yeah.
It was very art first. So I'm subscribed to her Patreon, which like, if any of you do anything with art, like, if you need stock art for anything, her Patreon is like $1 a month, I believe, if I remember correctly, which is like criminal. It should not be that low. Like,
Yeah, she
you
should
get
be getting a lot
access to
more credit.
so much good art. I'm actually gonna find a link for that and post that in the chat because like
Cool.
y'all, it is so good. Like I'm just
I
constantly
mean, just go
astounded.
over to take a look at it because it's really pretty.
Yeah, for real. Um, right. So, sorry, I forgot where that what that came up from. So I back her Patreon, and she published. She put out like basically the map for A Strange House. It's this like kind of crooked, wobbly house, and it was like just like outer view of the house with numbers on it. Uh, and I was like, I want to make an adventure out of that. I just like so enamored of it, you know.
Hmm.
And so I did. And also like used her art to flesh out like all the encounters and everything too. Um, so like it was really fun project for me because I was like most things I'm like idea first, art
Yep.
visuals later, but it was like a different exercise for me and I think it like I don't know if you agree with this, Brad, but like I feel this is actually really different than a lot of stuff I write.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, so the issues that I usually run into is taking your visions from your head and like trying to find imagery that exists out there to match it. Whereas this is like super simple because every bit of the artwork matches the description that you're giving.
yeah, and I think it helped me hit that kind of like that whimsy of it. I just put the link in the chat, by the way, folks. You should honestly check it out. I would be so happy if she got some subscribers over based over this campaign. Like that honestly, I would love that. But yeah, like I feel like it's kind of like softer and more whimsical than the stuff I normally do, and I don't mean that in a bad way because it's not. I think it's awesome. And like when I was getting people's feedback about it, like a lot of folks were like mentioned like, oh, it's kind of scary and creepy too, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's because I wrote it. That makes sense. Okay. Um,
It's very true of you.
but it's such a neat mix of ingredients. Like in the same way that like I think one of the things I hear a lot about marching order is that the tone of the project, like from the art and the layout to like the words and everything else, like it really just gels together. And like it's marching order is a lot of fun because it's like it's dark, gritty, and dick jokes. You know, like it
Right.
vacillates between those things in a very natural way. Uh, where this is kind of like sad and creepy and whimsical and soft and joyful. A strange house that is.
Right. Right. It's not emotions that are usually like involved in your writing. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, for
Uh,
real though, but like it felt really good going there.
Definitely.
Well,
Um,
brought a tear to my eye.
how long are we going tonight?
I was just gonna say, I think it's like yeah, it's getting a little late. But yeah, if anyone has any last minute questions, feel free to put them in the chat. But otherwise, I think we can probably start wrapping up, huh?
Yeah. Um, anything y'all are still here want to know about or
You know, for folks that are here, I will just give the spiel one last time. The pinned comment in the top of the chat, just repinned it. That will take you to A Strange House, the Kickstarter I was just talking about. It is ending in like 70 plus hours. It's no longer counting in days, it's counting in hours. We are getting to the end, and it's going to be a quick turnaround time. So if you haven't backed that yet, click on that link and check it out. Uh, Evelyn Moreau's Patreon link is also toward the bottom of the chat. $1 a month, and it's like, so here's the thing, like, not only does she put out art constantly, like constantly, I'm getting emails about new art, and I'm like, I open them up all the time because like, even if I'm not going to use it, I like to stare and be like, wow, because it's awesome. But like, you also get access to all of the backlog in a Google Drive, and it's just it'll for real just blow your mind. It's insane how much
super easy
content.
to access? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, really well organized, which is more than I can say for our Patreon when we had one,
Or our Google Drive.
or our oh god, don't talk about our Google Drive. That's my shame. Um, So yeah, Strange House link is like pinned at the top. Eva Moreau's Patreon is toward the bottom. If you haven't joined our mailing list, there's actually a link underneath the video in our Twitch links. You should do that because a lot of the stuff I'm talking about, like, honestly, people that have been on our mailing list long enough have seen everything from a Strange House for free. You know?
Yep.
So you want to see our next project before it happens and while it's happening? That's a great place to be on it. So do that. But other than that, thanks for hanging out with us, folks. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Super cool.
Yeah, we'll have to do this again sometime. All right.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. Peace.
Yeah, and if we didn't cover anything, send me an email. I always reply.
Yep.
How do I turn
And
this
if he
off?
doesn't, I punish him.
And I'm doing that thing where I'm like prematurely a boomer because I forget how to end.